Hi, everyone. Sheila Butler with Successful Women Talk. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. Another great episode of Successful Women Talk. And today on the show, I have guest Kadena Tate. Now, she is the contributing author of the New York Times bestseller, Business Model You. She is also a coach, consultant, speaker, trainer. She helps service-based entrepreneurs take who they are and what they know and package those into multiple offerings. She is a firecracker, so I can't wait for you guys to meet her. And I just want to say hi, Kadena.
Hey, hi Sheila. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, you are most welcome. I appreciate you coming on the show. We met about a month ago at a Dallas event. We were connected immediately. I couldn't wait to have you on the show. So again, thank you for joining us.
Well, no, I'm always thrilled to be able to share something that helped me move over my hurdles. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
And that's how we all learn, right? And that's another
absolutely.
reason why I do this show, because we can all learn so much from each other, because we've all been scared. We've all had hurdles. We've all had roadblocks. But if we can influence and help one person, we've done a great job.
Oh, absolutely. No, because I think especially as women, I think I was telling you offline, I have heavy duty perfectionist energy because I grew up in a military household, and it's very easy to put on your Supergirl cape and be overwhelmed and then say, wait a minute, I'm blocking my own blessing. I got to get it together. So no, I absolutely agree.
I love that. Well, listen, people want to know more about you. So before we jump into what you do, let's talk a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your history and how that helped you get to where you are today.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm the eldest of 4 children, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. And then when I graduated from high school, I went into the military. So I was in the Air Force for 4 years. Then after that, I worked for British Airways for 20 years. And I was a customer service agent. So I was that person at the ticket counter when you flew into a rage and you threw down your bag. You said, let me speak to your supervisor. That was me. And then I also traveled all around teaching the people at the ticket counter how to treat the customer. So that was my original background. I left British Airways in 2004, and I became a real estate broker. And when I sold real estate, people would say, how are you selling so many houses? And I said, I don't know. And so, because, you just do something.
I just am.
I don't know. And one of the office managers, he said, I would like to shadow you for a week from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. I said, I think that's like too much togetherness, but I'll let you do one day. And if I can stand it, right, then we'll go to the next day. Well, the day that he chose, he only shadowed me one day. What ended up happening was I love Girl Scout cookies, and I send out a little email that says, what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie when I meet people? And so this one particular woman who was in a new builder home, Oakley Custom Homes, her name is Kim. She was a sales rep. Her favorite Girl Scout cookie is Thin Mint. Well, so are mine. So I swing by the grocery store. I say, oh my God, it's Girl Scout cookie time. So I pick up all these boxes and I pull out my cell phone and I call her. And I said, hey, I'm going to swing by your office. I have a gift for you. And I said, but you got to come to the curb because I'm on the move. I got to go. And so she comes out. I give her the Girl Scout cookies. Her whole face lights up like a 3-year-old. She says, oh my God. And I give her the cookies. And then she says, 4 more people are coming in today. And she said, they don't have realtors. I'm just going to sign you into the contract. And he's sitting in the car with me. And he's just like,
the little light bulb goes on.
And we drive away, and then I stop at this restaurant, and I'm like, my name's Kadena, what's your name? And then the person says whatever their name is. I'm like, are you a renter or a homeowner? And they're like, I'm a renter. Why? Oh, I have bad credit. Please. People who tell you they have bad credit, they don't have bad credit. So people who say my credit's perfect. So I do all that. And then fast forward at the end of the day, he says to me, do you know that everywhere you went, you pulled personal information out of all of these people. You put them into this little phone. You put them all into your cell phone. Like, what were you doing? And I just kind of looked at him because I thought, well, that's what you do. And then, I'm sorry, I forgot. And then I was writing handwritten notes. So at the end of the day, all those people I would write, it was so good to see you today. It was so nice to meet you today. Da, 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 da. And he looked at me and he said, those are the keys, and I want you to start teaching. So I started teaching realtors how to, what you would say, customer service, the same thing that I did, but in a different way. So I started training, and then one day I was at a Toastmasters meeting, I did this speech called Nothing But the Drama, and a man who was in the audience, he said to me, "What's your speaker fee?" I said, "I don't have a speaker fee. I don't even know what you're talking about." And he said, "I want you to come over to my company and speak." And that's how I started doing corporate speaking. And then when I was at corporate speaking, people would ask me all these leadership questions, which to me, it was all common sense. It was just common sense. But I realized it's because of my childhood. It's because of the military background and the influence of my parents. So then I started doing leadership training. And then women would walk up to me and say, "How do I do that thing that you do?" And I would say, "What thing?" Or, like, I don't get it. And they say, "How do I become confident?" And I didn't know how to answer that question because I thought, well, that's a childhood thing. I don't know how to teach you confidence. And I still don't. But what I do know is that my favorite quote is, "When you believe in your dreams, they may come true. But when you believe in yourself, they will come true."
Oh, I love that.
And, you know what I mean? And the way to believe in yourself is to always be in a period of continual learning and personal development and professional development. And so what I say to people is, if you want to get, say, from here to here, you really have to look at what are you willing to do? Because a lot of people want what you have, but they're not willing to do what you're willing to do to get there.
That's right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, but success is a personal thing, and you have to define it for yourself. And I just think that at the end of the day, it's really important for me to do three things. Number one, to let a person know that it's okay for you to look within and see that you're worthy and deserving of perfect health, lavish wealth, loving, harmonious relationships, and the freedom of creative self-expression. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I believe you have a responsibility to create wealth for yourself. Because as women, my father passed away November 1st of last year. My parents were married for 50 years. My mother is among millions of women whose husbands pass before they do, and they're not in a financial position, to create the kind of life that they really want. So I think that we have a responsibility, especially as younger women, I'm 48, to really understand money, understand how to create money, and understand how to show somebody else how to create wealth for them and their families. And then the third thing is a lot of people believe you can't teach legacy building until you personally achieve freedom. I totally disagree. I think that moment by moment, you make a choice on whether or not you're going to conduct yourself with integrity and whether or not your actions within your business are going to impact people in a positive or a negative way. And so I think it's about being a conscious entrepreneur and understanding there's a level of responsibility, right, that we have been given as leaders. And I just think that, once again, from childhood, you have to be a leader of leaders and a teacher of teachers. You walk your talk and you talk your walk. So that's, I guess, like my background.
I love it. Yeah. So many paths I could go down, but I want to touch on something real quickly because I think people don't put enough value in relationships and in good customer service. So you knew early on, and I think we are going back to a time of mom and pop business tactics. So I think people want that again. We live in a busy world full of technology, which is awesome. I love technology, but people want to do business with people. And you got that because of the way you grew up. And you had, if you're kind of like me, I think, where I've never met a stranger. I'm not afraid to walk up to somebody and introduce myself and and ask them a question or reach out and try and make somebody feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And you wrote those things down. I think that is really important. We have, because of the technology, you can write notes about people. You can keep it in Evernote or in your contacts. And just remembering something special about someone makes all the difference in the world.
I agree 100%. But I also think that one of the things about technology, this is one of my personal pet peeves, is a lot of people want to run their businesses behind their computers. And when you meet them in person, there's a disconnect because they're not congruent. And so I say to people, you need to be the same person offline that you are online, because it's very disturbing when you meet someone and their picture online, they're 40, and you meet them in person and they're 60. That's just, it's a disconnect. And then also you have people who are, for lack of a better way of articulating this, they're not really nice people, but online It's
Yeah.
like the Dalai Lama. And,
I
and then you meet him in
interviewed,
person
yeah,
and you're like, oh my God,
yeah.
that's character work that you. And I just feel like we need to disconnect from the computer and start looking at people face to face,
Yep.
heart to heart, soul to soul, eye to eye, so that you can really understand you're dealing with another person. Because I think technology is wonderful, but at the end of the day, we still have people who are homeless. We have people who are starving. And as long as we don't care about one another, we lack empathy and compassion, and we don't recognize that we have a responsibility in the world to do no harm. I just think that
Yeah.
we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
We really do. We have a long way to go.
And part of that is being authentic and a bit vulnerable, and that's
Yes.
okay. And the more authentic someone is, and the more vulnerable someone is, I think that the better you're going to like them.
Oh, absolutely.
I interviewed someone that I couldn't wait to interview them because they had such a great personality. And when I got them, we do a little bit of chatting before we record. It was so different than what I had anticipated that the interview was almost a little bit uncomfortable because I was so shocked that they were not that
Yes.
authentic person that I thought they were.
Hmm.
And you can tell, people know as soon as
I
they meet
think,
you.
but don't you think that one of the things, especially as you start to earn more money, people become less genuine.
Yep.
It's almost as if I have to hide something, or they tell, my father calls it lying by omission. It's lying. It's lying by omission. It's still lying, where they'll give you a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole puzzle. It's kind of like as a woman, this is one of the things that I teach women. You really have to believe in yourself so that you can trust your own intuition. Because when you're dealing with people, you can tell the stuff that they're saying, whether or not it's true. You can feel it in your body. And you can read between the lines and pick up all the things that they're not telling you too. If you are in alignment with who you are, if you're fully present to the experience. And so as women, we have that as a natural gift. I think this whole idea of multitasking and trying to be all things to all people is of great disservice. In my life, I have to focus. I have to do everything in 45-minute blocks. I use a kitchen timer to get my stuff done. I'm not on social media all day because I will not get any work done if I'm on Facebook, which I call crack book. And I just really, for me, it's connecting with people. And I would rather have a small list that was responsive than to have this huge audience of people who will never make an investment in themselves through you, but they have heavy duty opinions about why you do what you do. I don't know
Oh,
if
I
that makes
love that.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just think that we need to really kind of take a step back, especially as women, because I'm very sensitive to people's energy. And when I meet you, if your energy is off, like I'm not dealing with you because I already know that's a drama, right? That I don't need to experience. But I think maybe that comes with age. I don't know. Because I don't know. My mother used to say, feed people with a long handled spoon. And I think that's really good advice. Okay. As a business person, not to try to, I think we try to make everyone our friend. Like one of the things I noticed, quick sidebar, as business owners, when I'm dealing with women, they want every client to like them. And they'll say to me, you don't really care whether people like you. Well, that's not true. I do. But one of the things that I have realized, and it took me a long time because my first business failed because I had that belief. I had this belief that if I prove it to you, right, that I'm going to do a good job by doing free coaching sessions and free this and free that, then you'll see my value and then you'll pay me. Well, that was not true because people a lot of times don't value what you give away because you don't value it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we teach people how to treat us, sometimes not even knowing that that's what we're doing, right? So what I say to women is, if you have this belief that everyone's going to like you, you're going to really struggle in your business because people love you today and hate you tomorrow and then love you the next day because they're very fickle. They have so many things vying for their attention that a lot of times the word or the L word is missing, and that's loyalty. That's missing. And I just feel like we need to take ownership as women that our clients are not our friends. It's kind of like when you go to work and you say, you're my coworkers, not friends. That's a hard mental thing, but we need to learn how to separate certain things so that we can be more productive. Because I don't know, especially since I'm sensitive to stuff, if I allow myself to be sucked into every client's drama, then I'm not an effective friend, daughter, wife, mother, sister, lover.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I agree. Yeah. You know, I want to talk a bit about productivity, but before we jump into that, I want to ask you something, because what are the big things that you see that keep people from reaching their potential? So whether that be, you mainly work with women. So what is it? What are the main things that you see that keep them here instead of being here? Is it that they don't value themselves? Is that one of the ones that you kind of talked about?
That's one of them. The most important thing is a lack of mindset mastery and skill set mastery. So to me, it's mindset mastery, skill set mastery, relationship mastery, and communication mastery. So starting with the first one very quickly. With mindset mastery, I think a lot of women fell into this whole thing, like when we were children, you're Cinderella waiting for your Prince Charming. And so therefore they have this whole idea that someone's going to come in and take care of me. And so that's why I say we have a responsibility to create wealth for ourselves. Even if you're married, you still have that same responsibility.
Absolutely.
If you can't take care of yourself, that's just an awful place to me to be in the world, because you're very vulnerable, which is why there are so many women who are in poverty on a global scale, right?
I don't want to interrupt, but it is sexier. I'm so much more attracted to somebody that can take care of themselves versus someone that needs me to take care of them.
And it becomes a situation where I don't know where I read this, but it said that 3/4 of a woman's life is spent in caregiver energy, either taking care of her children, her spouse, her parents, her siblings, or her friends' children. When 3/4 of your life, I mean, that's huge. But if you look across the landscape of the women in your life, huge chunks of their lives are in caregiver energy for someone else. And so therefore, it becomes this whole idea, well, someone else needs to take care of me because I'm taking care of all these people. And I also think that from a mindset perspective, a lot of women think earning money is hard because we don't have a full education that's taught through 12th grade, right, to teach you the law of money or the language of finance, of capital, etc. And so that becomes very scary. And then you have people who make it seem like earning money is hard with all these convoluted, principles and philosophies, and that is intimidating. So the mindset factor, I think people don't spend enough time in personal development, and they don't spend enough time challenging the things that other people say. It's just like blindly believing whatever people tell you, and that's ineffective. Communication mastery, women don't ask for what they want.
Oh, that's so
in
true.
A clear, concise way. And even though I'm a woman, like I'll give an example. I did an event recently, and at my event, 7 women said to me, I'm cold. I was walking to the restroom. And I said, okay. And then I kept walking. And on my way, 7 women. I come back to the stage and I said, Blair Singer, he has that book, Sales Dogs. One of the things that he teaches is if there is an elephant in the room, address the elephant in the room. I said, 7 of you approached me on my way to the restroom and you said, I'm cold. I said, now, number 1, I don't know. Does that mean you need a fur coat? Feet warmers, heated seat warmers? Do you need a jacket, a sweater, a blanket, an electric blanket? I don't know what that means. In addition, I'm the speaker, not air conditioning and heating repair woman. And we're here at a hotel. Is there a reason why you did not address your request specifically to someone who could actually solve your problem? Because a complaint is an unstated request. And if you don't ask, the way you show up here at this hotel is the same way you show up in your personal life, because wherever you go, there you are. So if you can't communicate to me, it's freezing in here, I didn't bring a sweater, can they turn the air up so that it's, warmer? we don't understand each other. And they kind of looked at me with this, wow, you're kind of masculine. You know how women, the way that they slap you down is to make you feel like, well, you're a little too masculine. You're not feminine. I'm a woman and I'm feminine, but you have to communicate clearly. And so I think that they don't communicate clearly, especially with telling clients what they want. It's kind of like a client says, well, how much is it? And you say, well, you decide, or hesitant.
You tell me how much I'm worth.
Yes, or you're very hesitant about their pricing. So clear communication is one of the reasons that people fail. The third thing is relationship mastery, not setting appropriate boundaries, especially with social media. Because my first business failed miserably because let's just say I was on Facebook at 2:00 in the morning. And a client saw me on Facebook and they tried to have a conversation with me. I was in such fear that I was going to lose the client that I would have these business conversations when I did not want to have business conversations because I didn't set business hours and I didn't hold myself to say, these are the hours, right, that I'm available to speak with you. I would give these people my cell phone because I wanted them to be my friend. So they had my cell phone, my home phone, my office phone, and they were blowing up my phone. Let's just say a person had a coaching appointment at 1:00. They will call me at 5:00. Oh, I had to take the kids here or there. And I was accommodating people all over the place. And so I was disrespecting myself because I didn't set appropriate boundaries in my relationships. Relationship mastery is key in terms of understanding this is my work life, this is my home life, and you have to respect that. And I remember telling a group of women recently, which they got pissed off. I was in a furniture store and a woman who was a former client, she wanted to have this big business conversation in the furniture store. And I said, girlfriend, my office hours, this was on a Sunday at like 2:00 in the afternoon. I said, my office hours are Monday through Thursday from 9 to 3. Here's my business card. Call me during that time. We'll set up an appointment for you to have this conversation. And she got all in a huff and walked away. Well, there's 7 billion people on planet Earth, Sheila. I'm not about to be all bent out of shape over one woman, okay, with a bad attitude. So it's about us being clear. So wait a minute. So skill set mastery. The fourth thing is a lot of people are lazy. They want money to just like fall from the sky or people just run up to the door and give you bucket loads of money. And to me, it's about adding value. So if you're not adding value, I believe that you deserve to be compensated for the value that you bring to the table. Now, that's tricky because as women, we can go into nurturing energy and we can go into this giving more than we're comfortable giving energy, saying yes when we want to say no energy, and just not being congruent with our beliefs. Once again, it goes back to setting appropriate boundaries, running a business like a business, understanding that you have to be a continual learner. You can't just look at whatever you learn from kindergarten to 5th grade and that's going to be enough. I mean, you're going to have to make an investment in yourself. You need a business coach. You need the support of family and friends. You need structure in order to run a business. So those are the reasons that I think that, or that I see that people are not achieving their goals. Oh, and another thing, they don't set realistic goals. This is my big one. Sorry. So many women that I meet are engaged in individual coaching and they have fees like $50 to $75 an hour, but they want to earn $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million. So when you do the math and you say basic math 101, you pull out your calculator and you say 100,000 divided by $75 equals, and they look at me like I have horns on my head. I'm like, this is like basic math 101. This is not me making up stuff. That's really hard. So it's not sitting down and saying what's the highest and best use of my time. And then what's the value of what I'm bringing from a perspective of when I work with you, I'm giving you my time, my undivided attention, and my intellectual property to help you up-level your whole life. And so then what's the impact of my work with you? I just think we don't own the result of what we do, and therefore we don't charge enough. And I just, I see way too many women working harder. Like my dad would say, you can work harder or you could work smarter, but a hard head makes a soft ass. And it's funny because that's exactly what happens in our lives. I hope that answers your question.
No, I love it. That. I think that is wonderful. And I totally agree. And I don't really think we have to get into a lot of productivity because most of what you said deals with that. You need systems.
Yes.
You need structure. And you need to be productive. And to be productive, you have to define what your all is. And we talked before we started recording is that I do think women can have it all if you've defined your all.
Absolutely.
But you can't if you don't know what that is.
And you can't compare your all to somebody else's. I think that's another big problem with women is keeping up with the Joneses. And I know a lot of women who will say, well, so-and-so is earning 7 figures. I want to earn 7 figures. And my thing is, well, what are you going to do with your 7 figures? How are you going to impact change? And a lot of times it's just about me, and my house and no more. And my thing is money is a tool that can be used to affect social change. So when you see, for example, people who don't have food, clothing, or shelter, I don't know about you, but just me personally, I don't feel rich if I'm in a Mercedes driving down the street through the hood. Okay, that's not, to me, there's something about that doesn't feel congruent, especially from a spiritual place. If you say you're a spiritual person and you have a belief in a higher power, there's just something about that doesn't sit right with me. Or when I turn on, like I volunteer with an agency that helps battered and abused women. How can I say that I'm in my house and I'm safe, but not every woman is safe? There's just something about being socially responsible as well and recognizing that when people invest their dollars into you, you're really like a vessel, if you will, through which the money flows. And I just think we need to get away from so much materialism and really sit down and look at how can I use my money to do more good? Now, I don't want to be misinterpreted. I think money is a good thing. Wayne Dyer said it best when he said you can't get poor enough to help the poorest person. But I do think that you have the ability to teach someone else how to do something that you know how to do so that they can create, an income so that they can take care of themselves. And then I think we're all lifted up. But from a productivity perspective, the first productivity thing I do want to say to you is, I think we don't define who's on our team.
Good point.
And for me, we can have all the social media tools and all the online tools in the world. But at the end of the day, I recommend that women do 2 things. Number one, you pull out like a big flip chart piece of paper. And on one of them, you put at the top personal and the other professional. And then you draw 10 hearts. And on the hearts for personal, who do you need in your life to help you get to where you're trying to get to? So is that a driver, a hairdresser, a personal assistant, a maid, a chef? What spouse, children? I mean, what do you need? Who do you need to support you? I think that's under personal. And then under professional, do you need a virtual assistant, an on-the-ground assistant, a graphic designer, a web designer? What do you need in order to run a successful and a sustainable business? And what I can tell you is if your name is in every heart, that's not going to work. And you're going to be really overwhelmed. And that, even if it's working now, I can tell you from personal experience after declaring bankruptcy that you cannot be Jill of all trades. And if you're running your business that way, if we go back to that whole statistic that says that 3/4 of your life is spent in care of somebody else, if the minute something happens to the somebody else, your whole world comes crashing down.
Yep.
So we need to really sit down and think about what we're building, why we're building it, right? And what's the true value of it. So for me, that's where the first part of productivity begins, recognizing there needs to be a structure to your business. Now, some women will say, oh, but that overwhelms me because I don't have any money to pay all those different people. First of all, if you would write the people down, you would recognize you're going to pay them anyway. Because if you, for example, this was a huge shift for me in my own business. So I used to charge $75 an hour and I would be beat across the face by mean clients, okay? And then I sat down and I wrote out my chart and I said, these are the people that I need. In order for me to hire these people, I had to raise my fee, right? I had to
Yep.
raise my own personal fee. What helped me to raise my fee was I looked at people, and this to me is a huge thing if you can wrap your mind around it. If you look at somebody, everybody tells you, look at what people who do what you do. This is what most people say. Look at somebody who does what you do and then price yourself in a similar thing. I totally disagree because I think you have to be set apart. So what I say is look at somebody who does something that you think is really frivolous. Okay, somebody like that's even not a skill, and look at then how much money they make. So for example, I met this woman who's a massage therapist, okay, and for the massage, it was $400.
Wow.
So it was a massage.
A serious massage.
Reiki, hello, right? It was a 2-hour massage. Then there was Reiki, and then she did this various energy work, and then she had this conversation with you. So I'm like, wait a minute. This woman for 3 hours is charging $400. I'm over here charging $75 for 1 hour, bent out of shape. And I'm with this woman and I feel like $1 million when it's over. And then I had another person that I knew, right, who did personal voice coaching. And she charged $1,000 a month for 4 30-minute sessions. And I was like, wait a minute. I can charge $1,000 a month. I mean, surely what I bring to the table is equally of value, right? And so that helped me. I looked at also, if you look at an interior decorator or a painter or somebody who, even if you look at a singer, I mean, you look at models if for one day, you look at all these things that quote unquote don't have the same intrinsic value as what you bring. And you suddenly realize, hell, I bring a lot of value to the table. I do too. They do, and I do too. Right. And I can honor that, right? And so for me, it's about sitting down and then getting really clear, okay, if I at least sit down and say, I want somebody to invest $1,000 a month in me. Now, what am I willing to give in exchange for that $1,000? And I guarantee you, if you shift your mind and you say, what am I willing to give? How can I serve you better? And I'm not talking about overgiving and now you're prostituting yourself. I'm talking about really getting clear about what's fair, right? For that $1,000, you'll suddenly see you'll have better clients. Because what I found in my business, and I'm not saying the people who pay small amounts are high maintenance. I'm saying that has been my experience. The people who make a bigger investment have a tendency to not push upon me a false sense of expectation, to push on me a sense of responsibility for what they have going on. Normally, when a person makes a heavier investment, they become responsible and accountable because as women, we really need to learn, Sheila, we can't be beating people over the head, dragging them over the finish line. And we will do that if you don't have a coach to say stop so that you can save yourself from yourself, you'll do that very easily. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to say you can lead a student to knowledge, but you can't make them think. So it's basically the same thing. You can't.
Yes.
They have to want to invest in themselves.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Listen, this has been I could probably just talk with you all day. I mean, this has been awesome. But I want to be able for people to connect with you as well. So where would you want to send someone if they did want to reach out to you and connect with you?
What I recommend is that they go to my website, which is kadenatate.com. And when they get there, I have lots of goodies. I have this authentic prosperity gift pack that I want to give to them. So if they fill in the opt-in at the top of the page, what they'll find is there will be my productivity tools, my mindset mastery tools, skill set mastery, business mastery tools. I actually have them there as a nice little bundle so that a person can leapfrog the market and make the idea of competition irrelevant. Because I don't believe in competition. I believe that you need to be unapologetically you as you step out into the world and really build everything from a place of your own heart. And once you do that, I think you'll be a happier woman, right? And obviously a more successful woman.
And we've talked about this before on the show, but unless you're happy in all parts of your life, you're really not going to be whole.
Preach. Yes. Yes.
Kadena,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. No, thank you so much, Sheila.
Awesome. Have a good day.
You too, baby.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, the world needs you, so don't underestimate your greatness. If you liked today's episode, you can spread the word by using the share buttons on the side. And if you want to learn how to simplify your life and your business, join the community and get our free updates directly to your inbox.